Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello? Hello, hello, hello.
A bad idea to bump this all the way up to 320 so that you can bump your quality up and be found. But once you're here, you want to make sure that you change your output mode from simple to advanced so that you're
Hey, what is up guys, Kumsa HD, welcome back to another YouTube video. And if you're wondering what is the best settings for recording and streaming using OBS, well, this video is for you. So without any further delay, let's get started. Okay guys, so the first thing you want to do is go ahead and click on settings and change the theme to dark so that it makes it easier to look at, especially with these small text. And also, if possible, you can go ahead and open up this video in full screen. Of course, that makes it easier for you guys to look at as well. So go ahead and go into the output tab, and this part of the video will be about the streaming settings. So if you want to look at the recording settings, I'll be putting the timestamps in the description below. But anyway, for now, go ahead and change the output mode to advanced, and I will explain the reason why 3 of my settings are grayed out. And that is because I'm using OBS to record this very video at this very moment. So I'm unable to change them, but these settings are the settings I personally use. So for the audio track, depending on your setup and your preferences, I only use one audio track, and that is from my gameplay. I don't commentate, I don't use any music that is on top of my video, so I only use one audio track. Of course, if you have Skype, if you commentate, you can have up to 3 or even 6 of these audio tracks, so that entirely depends on you, and that's not really the important part of the settings. Anyway, so the encoder I use X264 is pretty good. It retains enough quality, and depending on your internet connection, it will not be laggy, so I really like it. And of course, take on the enforced streaming service encoding settings as well. Anyway, this is one of the most important settings in this session. So the rescale output. So allow me to explain. I use a 1440p monitor, and it is
Hello everyone, this is INS Everett, and today I'm going to be showing you how it's weird. I just renamed it because it's the way I like to do it. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So then you're going to have a scene here, you'll want to edit or rename it, or just leave it, whatever you want to do. Doesn't matter too much. And then just remember that you're going to be changing it probably, potentially, if you have multiple things like mine. And then over here, you'll go to add, and this is for game capture, so you're going to click add game capture. It'll then bring up a menu like this. It'll bring up this menu, and once it brings up this menu, you'll want to leave it either at capture any full screen application, which is what most people need because most games open up full screen, so you'll leave it at that. Or if you play games in windowed borderless mode or in windowed mode in general, you'll want to capture a specific window. It doesn't take much. Just change it quickly, and then you'll want to pick your window that you want to record. So Say I had Heroes of the Storm, which I played window mode all the time. I will put it in there, and then you have to open the game first. So you open the game, and then you'll be in your EXEs, listed under these EXEs, and you'll click on that game specifically. So once that game's picked, it'll show up on the screen behind it, and you'll know that it's running. So I'm going to leave it at that for right now. I then would just start streaming. So that, or start streaming, start recording. But you do want to have several other things change, at least in my opinion. So this is default white. If you notice bright onto my face, I prefer dark. It just looks better on screen. It doesn't cast a huge white light onto your face, which hurts when it's nighttime. So under streaming, you will leave everything alone. Under here, you'll probably have something that looks like this. We want to change to advanced, and we aren't going to mess with streaming right now, so you're going to go to recording. So leave the type standard, recording path, save it to wherever you like to save your files. Recording format is going to be MP4 or whatever you want to use. MP4 is the most common format though. And then your audio tracks, you will probably need two because you want to record your desktop and your microphone. If you aren't going to record your microphone, just have one and it will record your desktop, which means your game audio. And I have three because I record my desktop audio, my mic, and my chat audio with my friends. So then, and it's your encoder, if you have an NVIDIA graphics card for local stream or recording, if you have, I'd say anything above a 970, so a 970, 980, or a 1070 and a 1080, I would suggest using NVIC H264. That will be your best bet. If you have an AMD graphics card, sadly, you can only use times 264. I usually just use my hardware, my GPU, because it's a little bit better and it doesn't affect my gaming too much, whereas when I use this, since I don't have an i7 or an i5 processor, I'm running an FX 8350, it sometimes messes with my graphics. So I'll go over this first. This setting you can leave there. I would suggest not putting this above 3000.
OBS Studio offers a small variety of chat sounding like this. Do you want the comfort and quality of high-end headphones without sacrificing microphone quality? Antline's Mod Mic 5 is the perfect solution. Their dual capsule microphone attaches easily and securely to your existing headphones and fits within any setup thanks to the modular cable system. It comes with a cable wrap to protect your wires, an optional inline mute switch, and sounds a little something like this. Check the link in the video description to learn more. I'm AplesVox, here to make tech easier and more fun. Welcome back to my OBS Studio tutorial course for 2017. And it'll be useful for a long time because OBS doesn't update that drastically. I've got plenty of videos about the software linked in the playlists in the video description. Check those out if you have any questions. I've probably answered them. And check the introduction video if you want to know how this course works. It's worth noting that these settings are updated all the time, so yours might look a little different or might have new ones too, but the general principles still apply. Let's just start at the top, shall we? Process priority refers to, well, the priority to which your computer allocates resources. At normal, it's possible on slower computers that OBS could freeze or have issues due to another program, such as a game, taking up more power. I believe it stays at above normal by default to help prevent this. If you're using a slower computer and running into issues with OBS freezing or being unresponsive, you can try setting this to high, but be prepared for that to potentially harm performance in-game or your other programs, because then OBS is taking priority over those. The video settings section is typically left alone. Direct3D 11 or 10 should almost universally be used, on Windows at least, and even on my rig, that is the only option. You might have OpenGL available as well, which is worth trying if you really need to troubleshoot some performance issues. NV12 is the best default color format to work with unless you're using specific other color format devices and know what you're doing. The color space and color range can typically be left alone, By choosing 709 and full instead of 601 and partial, you're able to give more dynamic range to your video, allowing room for more color grading and so on. But without any tweaks, this can make your video look washed out and just not appealing. This actually makes it easier to compress, but may not appeal to everyone since it does look a little less appealing by default. Next, you can choose your audio monitoring device. This is for the audio monitoring tool in the audio mixer that we covered in previous videos. This simply assigns an output device to be monitored to, such as your headphones or speakers or whatever. You manually assign it here. Following that, you can change the file name formatting for your recordings and replay buffers. You can also add a stream delay. This is important for major events or during competitive matches to prevent stream sniping. But the buffer for the delay can consume a lot of RAM. You'll have to keep your system resources in mind with that feature. Next, you can set up retries for automatically reconnecting to streaming services if your connection is lost. You can disable this if needed. I guess the only reason I'd think you might want to do this, especially since you can just hit stop streaming, is if your streaming service requires new stream keys or stream IDs for every new connection. Then, reconnecting will just confuse everything. Lastly, for the current version, you have some network controls. The OBS team have implemented better network code, which is vague, I know, but supposedly improves stream performance, which you can disable. You can also enable a low latency mode, which improves latency to your stream, but can use this can make your video look washed out and just not appealing. This actually makes it easier to compress, but may not appeal to everyone. Since it does look a little less appealing here.